Hello guys, this is part 11 of the Workstation build. In this video, I'll be installing the operating system Windows 7. Now the reason I went with Windows 7 is beyond the scope of this video. However, I did this video back in 2019 and there was still 1 year left of support from Microsoft for Windows 7. I, however, then got an ESU license which extended my security updates until 2023. Now, as I explained when I first did this build, I geared this build around being the last best platform to run Windows 7. I really prefer Windows 7 for what I do, and it does everything I still need it to do just fine with security updates still intact. So we're going to start the computer. I have a USB flash drive installed that has the bootable Windows ISO on it. You can use a utility such as Rufus to load this on there. Now I will be installing this onto my Samsung 860 Pro SATA SSD instead of the NVMe drive. The SATA SSD is still going to be very responsive and very fast. You're not likely to notice much of a difference between an SSD, a SATA SSD, and an NVMe for your boot drive and opening applications. Now, if I wanted to install this on an NVMe drive, I'd have to slipstream NVMe drivers into the bootable Windows installer because Windows 7 by default doesn't have native NVMe drivers like Windows 10 does. So it would not detect the NVMe drive unless you strip stream the drivers. That's a tongue twister. So as you can see, it sees a 1 terabyte drive. That is indeed the 860 Pro. It doesn't see our NVMe drive because we do not have drivers yet installed for that drive. So it's now going to install Windows 7 onto our 860 Pro. This should be a relatively fast process because I booted off a USB flash drive and it's going onto an SSD. Yes, that's not going to install features and updates. Now the updates pretty much won't install anything unless you've slipstreamed some Windows updates into the image. So that's why that pretty much goes instantly. So now it's going to restart the computer. This is usually when you pop out the flash drive. But what I did was I set the boot menu order to first boot from a UEFI hard drive and then from a UEFI USB drive. So now that the hard drive, being the SSD, has a bootloader and has an operating system on it, the system's going to boot back into the actual OS and not from the flash drive. See that right there? That is called smart thinking. So the X99A workstation board takes a while to post because there's so much going on. So you see it will first show the Mellanox. That is the 10 gig card. It shows that because it can do network booting. So now, as you can see, we're actually booting off of the hard drive and booting into the initial Windows 7 setup process. It's normal for the screen to flash, stuff like that, because it is trying to install some default drivers and stuff like that. Okay, so it looks like it wants to restart the computer again. Give it a second. It'll post right back up. Oh, booting again. Like I said, it's not going to boot very fast because it's still in the initial set process. It's still installing the OS and setting up a bunch of things in the background. So now we're going to give ourselves a username, and we're going to name the computer. So now we're going to enter a password. Make sure your caps lock is turned off and set appropriately so you don't put it in wrong. Here is where I'll enter in my product key. I'll actually enter that in later. We'll set our time zone appropriately. I'm in Ohio, so I'm on Eastern time. Now, of course, the resolution isn't going to look the best because we haven't installed the driver for the graphics card yet. But as you can see, our system is booted into Windows 7, fresh install, and it's booted off the SSD. The computer is working. It's running. Everything post. So the next step will be installing all the drivers, and that will be in the next video. So guys, I think that concludes this video. Thanks for watching.